A little after one.
The fourth most in college baseball. That's how good he has been. Fastball's a good one, Dave. It's going to be 94. He'll show you a 95. Batting average against it's about 284, but it's all about the all-speed stuff. The slider, the curveball, and the splitter for Ianson have been outstanding this year.
Charles Davalon will lead things off for Ark
per game. This year, 9.2 runs per game to kind of give you an idea. That's the second best or seventh best offense in the entire country. Of course, that does lead the SEC.
1-2 the count. A little high chopper off the plate. Ianson fields his position well, one down. Take a look at this Arkansas lineup. So we talked about Arkansas 316 average. They have just been really top to bottom and very, very solid at the plate. Vahiva Aloy, Ben talked about his numbers this season. Vahiva having one of those just fantastic years at 377, tied for third in the conference in batting average. And his brother, his younger brother, Kahio Aloy, has been a wonderful addition, a transfer from BYU. But really, as this team gets healthy, you see Maxwell back in the lineup again last night. He's been out with an injury, but got in the game last night and going to stay here and play game 2 as well. They start to get healthy, Ben. This changes the dynamic a little bit.
I mean, I look at Arkansas, and what I see from the numbers, Dave, I see the most complete team in the country. That's what I see. You talked about the batting average, #1 in the SEC, home runs 3rd in the SEC, ERA 4th in the SEC, fielding percentage 1st in the SEC, 2nd in the country, and then runs per game top 10. So to me, it's the most complete team in college baseball.
Well, so far, Ianson didn't have any of that. He gets a little chopper back to the mound and then a strikeout of Aloy.
Well, Ianson, his last time out, probably his very best start of the year. Look, he has had a lot of good ones, and there's that really good little slider to the outside part. His last time out against A&M went the distance. 9 innings, only allowed 3 hits, 1 run, and struck out 14, Dave.
That's a good number, 14.
That'll work every day of the week and twice on Saturdays.
3.16 ERA for Ianson as he faces Logan Maxwell, the right fielder who we talked about has been out with an injury, got back in the lineup last night.
See, that's a real bender right there. That's the curveball that I was telling you about. Only throws it about 18% of the time, but opponents hitting 116 off of that pitch.
Out to short. They'll test Milam. He fields and throws, and the Tigers get
a little bit different way than Ianson. He's going to be heavy on that pitch right there. A fastball that has a lot of ride, a lot of carry to it, and he's going to throw it about 68% of the time. Now, he's going to show you a curveball and an occasional cutter as well, but he is going to be heavy on that fastball.
Curiel, what a season he's had. Obviously came in with a ton of expectations placed on his shoulders, and he has not disappointed. 356 average, 6 homers, 44 runs batted in, 15 doubles to his credit.
Yeah, and he had that big knock last night. LSU was down 2 in the 7th inning, and he came up, had a 2 RBI single to the backside of the field. And that's what he does best. He will use left field, left center field, and center field as well as anybody from the left side.
That one's up and away, 2-2 the count. One's up and away. You know, we talk about expectations placed on your shoulders as a freshman. I mean, before he even stepped on the field, he was the preseason SEC Freshman of the Year. I mean, before he even took a swing.
Yeah, but he's one of those guys, Dave, and we'll see what he does with this pitch right here.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
Little base hit for Derek Curiel.
There's some ranks right there this season. You see what he has done and how good. It's very, you talk about true freshmen in this league, very seldom contribute. And when they do contribute, Dave, it's in more of a backup kind of role, or you're hitting 7th, 8th, and 9th. It is very rare for a true freshman to come in to a big-time SEC program and lead off and hit #1 and play a premium position in the outfield.
A couple weekends ago against Tennessee, had his 43-game reach base streak snapped. Jared Jones swings and misses the first pitch. Promptly came back and had a 4-hit day right after that.
Yeah, and what I like about Curiel, he had his worst weekend of the year last weekend against A&M. He went 1 for 12, struck out 4 times. But he had no scar tissue coming into this series. He just kind of flushed it and went right back to work last night.
Another big swing from Jared Jones. Bear. He's been involved in those 2 late night antics. Had the home run against Tennessee at 1:17 in the morning, and then tagged up at third and just did beat the tag, sliding head first again at 1:17 a.m. You know, the one number about you see Curiel on that shot right before the pitch over there leading off at first base. That's the one thing that kind of, the only number that kind of makes you kind of just go, whoa. He's just 2 of 5 in stolen bases on the year.
Yeah. Well, LSU does not run a lot. They didn't run a lot. Now, they're running more this year. They've already got more stolen bases this year than they had the entire year last year. So Jay Johnson is putting the boys in motion a little bit more than what he typically does. But they're doing it a different way. LSU the last couple of years averaged 129 homers a year the last 2 years. This year they're only sitting at 76 home runs. That's not a big part of their game this year. And so Jay Johnson's bunting a little bit more, hitting and running a little bit more, and moving the boys on the base pass a little bit more than what he typically does.
Jared Jones tried to check that swing, couldn't do it, and there's your first out via the strikeout. And for Gage Woods at the 29th against 2 walks.
That's hard to believe. He came in 28 strikeouts and 14 in the third, and that's the ball that LSU, if they're going to have success today, they're going to have to lay off this high fastball, because that's where Wood wants to get. Again, that ball's high velocity with a lot of carry through the zone, and he wants to pitch in the upper quadrant and above the top of the strike zone to have success.
Daniel Dickinson now, the second baseman. Dickinson having a solid year as well, 324. 8 homers and 40 runs batted in.
Woo, that's a nice breaking ball there.
Dickinson transferred in from Utah Valley.
Yeah, he put up monster numbers. Over 30 stolen bases last year at Utah Valley.
Hit 363. 18 homers a year ago.
Gage Wood, he's going to be hard to steal off of. If you watch him, he's got a little bit of a slide step. He doesn't have a big leg kick at all, so he gets the ball to home plate. Watch him just kind of gently pick it up.
We're talking to Dave Van Horn about Gage Wood and the analytics of his return after being put on the shelf for a while, and he just kind of chuckled when I said, are the analytics, are they where they should be? And he laughed because they were better than they were before he got hurt. Yeah. That's a scary thought.
Yeah. When you're averaging 2 strikeouts per inning, and that's what he's done in 5 starts, you know the stuff is pretty special.
There's a strike, 3-2 the count.
Nice to get an arm back like that. You know, as you go 2 SEC series left to play, you got the SEC tournament, and so you figure Gage Wood will get, start next weekend and then 1 in the SEC tournament, so he'll be up to 7 or 8 starts.
Throw down to second, but ball 4 in the process, so nothing doing there, and the Tigers will have him first and second. Boy, it looked like Ryder Helfrich back there was hoping that was a strike. But home plate umpire Jason Bradley's like, nope, it missed. Sorry. Ryder Helfrich played sparingly last year, but boy, has he taken over the role of team leader and backstop for this Arkansas staff. Here's Jake Brown. Jake out in right field, 298 on the year, 4 homers and 33 runs batted in.
Yeah, Jake didn't start last night, but came in, got a pitch hitting appearance and went 1 for 1.
96 in there for a strike. 0-2. Ethan Fry on deck. That ball's lifted high in the air, out to right. Logan Maxwell to the wall, out of here. 3-run shot for Jake Brown.
Dave Neal, that's what you call a hanging breaking ball. And that's where hanging breaking balls typically end up, and in the seats right there. How about this swing? He saw this ball pop up, and when he saw it pop up out of the hand of Gage Wood, Jake Brown just sat back and threw his hands at it. And all of a sudden, he gets a Weaver, a 3-run shot, his 5th long ball of the year, his 36th RBI of the year. And boy, he is fired up, and this crowd is rolling right now.
Ethan Fry, hero last night. The base knock. Base is empty in a 3-0 game here in the first. And a very happy Jake Brown. Now with 36 runs batted in. Well, you could almost see in that replay when Gage Wood let that go, he kind of felt that that wasn't going to end up where he wanted it to end up.
And look, I'm going to tell you, as a pitcher, when it leaves your hand, you know. You know, and you just pray and he swings a miss or hits it to somebody. But that's what happens, you know. I mean, good hitters are going to make you pay for your mistakes.
This is pitch 25 here in the first inning for Gage Wood. That one just off the plate. He thought he had the strikeout, but still only 1 out. And remember, they're still monitoring Gage's pitch count. Hoping to get somewhere in the 70s, maybe.
Yeah,
a few more than that tonight.
This is not the start he wanted.
Yeah.
For sure.
Sharply hit to the left side, and there's a base knock.
Boy, Ethan Fry came in leading LSU and hitting the 360 averaging. Boy, he continues to swing it well. Of course, he was the guy with the sacrifice fly last night that pushed home Jerry Jones at 117 in the morning to walk it off in the 10th.
So when do the 117 t-shirts start getting sold?
If I had to guess, they're probably printing them as we speak.
Yeah. We had the, was it the possum that got out? Yeah.
LSU was playing Arkansas many years ago here on a late night game when the possum showed up.
Changed the whole course of the season, basically.
Not just the game, you're right, the whole season. People around here were picking those possums up like, don't eat it, don't eat it. Normally they eat it around here like,
they're pets.
Don't eat that one. That's the good one. That's the good luck one.
Well, there's to say that there's some activity heading down to the Arkansas bullpen area would be an understatement. It looks like half the dugout.
I don't think there's that many rubbers down there, that many mounds. That'd be like a football team getting off the bus right there.
It is crazy. You and I have the opportunity. You do the big league stuff, and obviously those guys are some of the best athletes in the world. But to stand around a college baseball batting cage these days and look at the size of these guys is incredible. Little blooper caught there at second base by Kozel. But I mean, they do. I mean, it almost looks like football teams out here the way these guys are built these days.
Yeah, I mean, each generation gets. And you look at them on TV, you don't think they're that big, and then you walk up on them, you go, oh my gosh. I mean, Jerry Jones is really 6'4", 260. That's what he is, you know. And this, when you talk about Arkansas, I mean, you're talking about one of the most physical teams in the country. Big, strong guys.
So 2 down now for Michael Braswell III.
I mean, look at Ethan Fry over at first base. Doesn't look like he's 6'6", 227, but that's what he is.
Where's Rose Pine, Louisiana?
That's over there in the western part, central western part of the state. Don't blink. don't sneeze or you'll go right through town.
Gotcha.
I'm not even sure there's a caution light or a stop sign.
Well, that's Ethan Fry's hometown, so obviously they got something in the water over there, because he is a mammoth person over there at first base. And when you mentioned his number, 6'6", 227 pounds, but he doesn't move around like that.
No, he doesn't.
Braswell 230 on the year. He's been one of those guys that's really helped solidify this team defensively by moving from a shortstop to third base and allowing Milam to play shortstop. And you got Dickinson now anchoring second base. Things have just kind of really, that's been a big plus that a lot of people don't talk about with LSU this year. Yeah,
the defense is much improved, to your point. LSU's defense in 2 previous years, even though they won a national championship a couple years ago, the defense wasn't great, although it finished the year being really good. But overall, the defense wasn't great. And you're right. You got what you got for LSU is you got 3 guys that can play shortstop. Dickinson was a shortstop. He's playing second. You mentioned Braswell moved from short over to third. Of course, Milam is now playing shortstop. So that's why LSU's defense is much improved year to year.
A couple of home runs for Braswell. Here's the 2-2. Chopper to lift it up in foul territory, and catch is made behind the plate for 1 down. So that didn't take very long. That's just 12 pitches and 4 outs for Ianson.
How about Dave Van Horn in his 37th year as a college head coach, his 23rd year at Arkansas?
I mean, go back to 2017. Nobody's done it better than Arkansas. And we talked about it. There's really 2 programs. You know, we talk in golf. In the golf world, best player to never win a major, and it gets brought up all the time. There's really 2 teams in college baseball that have sustained success that just haven't won it all, and it's Arkansas and Florida State.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. And Dave Van Horn has been so close to getting there. I mean, as close as you can be, right? And
I hate to rehash it for Arkansas fans, but I mean, 2 outs in the 9th inning. But
that dude right there, he's as good as there is. And talking to him, Dave, we had him on Zoom call, and he's still, at 64 years old, in his 37th year, as hungry as he ever was in this game.
Crazy.
That's what's cool about it. Like, he ain't losing the it factor and his love for the game and his quest and challenge for Arkansas to win a national championship. That's what he wants to do.
Known him since he took this job, and he's an intense guy, passionate about obviously winning, but we're asking about the grind of the SEC stuff, and I said, man, does it just get to you? You know, this 10 weekends and you've been doing this. He says, heck no, man, this is fun.
Yeah, I can't believe he's still got hair left on his head, because most coaches in college, they ain't got no hair left on their head, you know, but I mean, it's fun. I guess you get numb to it, you know. I don't know. I mean, it's got to be fun to be in these kind of games, these kind of environments, you know, playing top 10 teams. I mean, it seems like you do it every weekend. So I guess in some ways you get numb to it, but man, he still loves it. Dave Van Horn in his 36 years has had 1 losing season.
That's
Think about
crazy.
that. And that was in 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
Chopper, that's going to go foul.
And I went in and did a game there in 2016, and he was having his worst year ever. They ended up 26-29 overall. They went 7-23 that year in conference play. And I remember talking to Dave about it. He said, man, this has been a rough year. But he said, I'll tell you what, he looked right at me. He goes, this will never happen to me again. Since then, and we just had the graphic, starting in 2017, he's averaged 46 wins a year, and he's averaged 19.5 wins a year in SEC play since then. That's how good he has been.
Another couple of years should cross over the 1,000-win plateau. Swing and a miss. Kozel goes down. 2 outs.
Well, Anthony Ianson can do this to you. We talked about it, the 4th most strikeouts in the country going in this ball game, and that's that really, really good breaking ball. 412-6, right over the top. More vertical in it than it does have horizontal in it. And when he gets it spinning, it's as good as anybody's.
Hogs just trying to slow things down at this point. Nate Thompson comes out there. Nate has not missed a workout, but he's just trying to slow things down. They know their pitcher threw almost 30 pitches, Gage Wood, in that first inning. Ianson just cruising along with 19 pitches with 2 outs here in the second.
Yeah, and Ianson threw, what, 112 pitches in that complete game last weekend against Texas A&M.
.95 at the knees, painting the black. Iredale, the junior, hitting .297. He's got 12 home runs on the year. Off the fist, that'll be fouled out of play, and he's behind 0-2.
Was there 5 guys in this Arkansas lineup in double digits in home runs?
And you got Logan Maxwell. He's been out with an injury. He's sitting there at 9.
9, yeah.
Ooh, just off the plate.
And here's the impressive thing about Arkansas's offense. We know typically when you get the SEC play, you don't score as many runs, right? Arkansas is the only team in the SEC that is actually averaging more runs coming into this weekend in SEC play than they are overall. That's how good their offense is done. So they've been averaging over 9 runs per game in SEC play alone.
To this point, Ianson has handled this lineup very well, and again,
13th year overall as a head coach.
LSU as a team hitting 3rd in the conference at .305. Aaron Beatty getting a start behind the plate tonight. He fouls that one back. 2-1 the count.
Yeah, LSU's overall offensive numbers look pretty strong, but when you dive down into just SEC play alone, it's a little bit different. They're only averaging 5.9 runs per game in SEC, so that puts them in 10th place out of 16 teams. So the offense has struggled to score some runs in conference play.
Yeah, the batting average dips down to 7th in the league as well, at .267 overall. We talked about they're hitting .305, but that's a pretty big drop off. But you know what, they've had a tough time perhaps maybe stringing together 2-3 hits in a row, as this one is belted out to right center. Is it long enough, deep enough? Yes! 2 home runs out to right center. The 4th for Aaron Beatty.
Wow. Now we talked about the wind, and the wind is pushing hard, kind of coming in from left center field, pushing across. And Aaron Beatty, obviously a right-handed hitter, and he gets his ball well up into the wind with a little bit of slice. Kind of like your drive, Dave, when you get that drive going and you just kind of ride the wind, and he rides it right out of the ballpark. His 4th long ball of the year, his 14th RBI, and LSU up 4-0 now.
I was thinking the same thing. Just reminded me of one of my drives as soon as he hit it.
I understand you are the favorite in Hoover at the SEC tournament.
At the Hoover Invitational?
Yeah, the Hoover Invitational. Like, you've been whooping up on Kyle Peterson. I saw he was giving you some money. And I know it's not easy to beat. I mean, Berkey's pretty easy to beat. You just talk a little smack to him. He'll fold up like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on you. But I understand you're the #1 seed is what I'm hearing.
Well, yes. I don't want to.
You don't want to brag, but, but it's true.
Yeah.
My dad used to say, if you can do it, son, it's not bragging.
My boys, KP and Berkey, 15 years, golf matches at Hoover, the SEC baseball tournament. And then you get to go watch a couple games every day. I mean, how good is that?
Look, and where you guys stay, too, I mean, that's pretty good. Pretty good place to be. I can think of worse places to be.
There's Stanfield, a junior out of Tallahassee, transferred in from Auburn.
Yeah, Stanfield's been a nice weapon down that 9-hole for LSU. He's hitting .322 overall, but he leads LSU in SEC play alone. He's hitting .337 in conference. That is #1 for the Tigers.
That one's foul. You know, Alabama has been kind of an up and down run here for the last month or so for this Crimson Tide. But one guy that has not been up and down, Cade Snell, by the way. I just want to bring this because you talk about SEC and all the pitching we have in this league. He's hitting .396 in league games.
That's crazy.
So Stanfield will stroll down to first base.
And remember, Gage Wood, since coming back, missed 8 weeks with that shoulder issue that he had. He had only allowed 1 run in his first 2 starts back against Florida and Texas, and he's given up 4 so far today.
And again, pitch count is already at 47. Matt Hobbs, the pitching coach, 7th season now.
The good news for Arkansas, even though they lost last night, they only used 2 relievers. So Jimenez went 23 pitches, so he could be available for today. Now, Gabe Gackle came in, and he was outstanding. Was the Friday night guy for Arkansas. Kind of fell out of favor a little bit. They put him in the bullpen, and I think he has found a home down there. He looked really good last night.
So Ben Bybee now trying to get loose. But now, though, this is one of those moments in a game where you hope Wood can kind of clean this up and get you a couple innings before you have to start mowing down some arms in a game 2 situation. Boy, talking to Jay Johnson before the game today, after getting that game 1, you know, it is like winning this series, and he could not speak more highly of Arkansas's team and how good they are.
Gosh, they're good. Arkansas is really, and again, I'm going to say this again, I think they're the most complete team in the country. Look, anybody can beat you on any given weekend. We've seen that in SEC play. Matter of fact, what is it? I look at the numbers. There's only 4 teams in the SEC out of 16 that has not been swept this year. Only 4. And those 4 are Alabama, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. Everybody else has been swept at least once, to show you the difficulty in this conference.
But Jay Johnson was like, all hands on deck tonight. Like, we will do whatever. If we have a chance to win this game, I'm not worried about tomorrow. I'm going to do all I can to win this game and win this series.
Yeah. And what he means by that, he's got Cason Evans down there, the freshman that had been closing in the last couple of weekends. He went in that starting role. If he, he's told us if he gets an opportunity and it's a save situation and he can win game 2, he will burn Evans today to try to win game 2 and not save him for the start tomorrow.
Off to a 4-0 start. 3-run homer by Jake Brown in the first and a solo shot by Cade Arambidi. Catapulted this LSU team to an early lead against a guy that had been pitching really well. Again, opponents were hitting 189 against Gage Wood.
And think about this, Dave. He'd only allowed 2 home runs in 5 starts. He's given up 2 so far today.
There is a called strike 3, and Curiel heading back to the dugout. That is the 2nd strikeout of the evening for Gage Wood.
Yeah, you can't throw a breaking ball any better than that. And that's what makes Gage Wood so hard to hit, because you got to gear up and you got to go get 96. And boy, when he bends one like that starts about your chest and ends up at your knees, good luck if you're standing in the box.
Jared Jones, strikeout victim his first time up against Gage Wood. Really fooled at the plate. Had a couple of big swings on some off-speed stuff and then a check swing on the strikeout. Just not a comfortable at-bat for Bear. Let's see if he makes some adjustments here. Oh, line into the glove of third baseman Brent Iredale. That ball was blistered off the barrel.
That ball might be lopsided. It might look like an egg right now. He hit it so hard. Talk about making an adjustment. Well, he made an adjustment. He got a breaking ball. He can handle it right there and hit it about as hard as you can hit a ball. But Iredale is right there to collect it with the 2nd out of the inning.
So Daniel Dickinson now with 2 down. I think Bear made the adjustment, though.
Yeah, he did.
Dickinson 324, hitting that 3-hole. These two teams are so close to each other, and Arkansas is 40-10. LSU's 39-11. In conference play, Arkansas 17-8, LSU 16-9. And Texas struggles have certainly brought everybody back into the picture, at least the top 4 or 5 teams in the league.
Of course, Arkansas swept Texas last weekend, and then Texas lost yesterday too, so they lost 4 consecutive SEC games, and they were losing today early.
And they're now up 5-2 in the 9th at home against Florida. They were down 2-0.
That means Volantis is in the game, and good luck when he's in the game. Looks like Bybee is ready to go if needed.
57 pitches now for Wood. 2-1 on the way. Boy, he's trying to bust Dickinson inside. Just can't catch a piece of that plate.
I like the way the Gage Wood is shoving that high velocity fastball inside on the right-handers, because what that does as a hitter, that makes you speed your bat up to be able to get to that ball, and then he's got that really good breaking ball behind it.
Three and 2 the count. That one's out to center field.
His wrist, shaking his hand a little bit. What's the update with him?
Yeah, he's good. He did his normal day 1 after start, getting ready for next week. We talked at length last night, got evaluated by our trainer and our doctors, and I honestly don't expect him to miss any time. He did his normal workout today, felt normal soreness, nothing obviously in the bad spots, elbow or shoulder, so I feel like we're in a good spot there.
Well, Jay, thanks for all that info.
Thanks.
I know your fans want to
it.
know about it. Thanks, buddy. Okay. Now, if Braswell had played 5 steps in, that interview would have been a whole lot better.
Yeah, we might still be talking, but instead he was ready to get off the blower. He was ready.
We'll blame Michael over there. Those guys are great. They're generous with their time to do that for us all year.
These coaches are so locked in. They don't mind doing this, but it does take them out of their rhythm just a little bit, you know.
So now first and second. But this was Cade Anderson. You talk about Cade and what happened last night. You were here doing the game. Did it scare you?
Yeah, I mean, you always worry, you know, because the velocity, what happened last night at the end, and look, he was good again. 8 out of 13 starts, double digits in strikeouts. But then right there in the 6th inning, the velo started to drop on 3 consecutive fastballs. He was like 89, 90, 90, and he's been 94, 95. And so you hold your breath, you know, but it was just a cramp, they're saying, that was in his kind of wrist area, which is an unusual spot to have a cramp. And of course the doctors checked him out, the trainer checked him out and said, no, it's just a cramp, he's good to go. And like Jay said, he apparently went and did his typical workout today. Everything felt normal, just normal soreness.
Arkansas here in the 3rd inning with their first base runners of the game. There is Jay and Cade, and I mean, Cade has been so good. I mean, so good. Swing and a miss there on a nice break ball. But you and I were talking like how he has improved his draft status from week 1 of this season to where he is now. He's jumped up 40, 50 spots.
You talk about helium in the draft. I mean, he was projected when the season began, and then again, he's a draftable sophomore, and he was projected 2nd round, back into the 2nd round when the season began. But now, I mean, Jim Callis put out the other day that he has Cade Anderson going 3rd overall to the Seattle Mariners. So you want to talk about helium in the draft, potentially going to be a top 5 pick now.
Justin Thomas Jr. looking at a 1-2 pitch from Ianson. First time he's been in trouble today, and goes with a high fastball, 94 miles an hour. And that'll be the first out of the inning.
Boy, to be able to strike out guys, and strike out guys when you need to. 1st and 2nd, nobody out. And Ianson grabs that cross-seam fastball, just a 4-seamer, rides it up in the zone, and takes care of Justin Thomas Jr., who had a big night last night in game 1 out of that 9-hole. Went 3 for 4, did Thomas.
Davalon now will step in. He grounded out his first time up, right back to Ianson.
Boy, the pitchers dominated in the big moments last night for both of these teams. Arkansas is the #1 team in the SEC hitting with runners in scoring position. They're averaging .341, but they were at 1 for 9 last night with runners in scoring position. LSU a little bit better, not much better. They were only 2 for 9 in game 1. So both pitchers, the pitchers on both sides, really, really good last night when it mattered the most.
Foul tip at the plate, 2 strikes now on the sophomore out of Montreal.
High fastball is typically backed up by one of the breaking balls by Anthony Ianson. He likes to get it up in the zone to set up the breaking ball.
How about that shot? Ominous sky hanging out over Tiger Stadium in the distance. Fouled off 1-2. Well, the sun came out middle of the afternoon. Kind of an overcast day this morning. Temperatures cooled down as well. Not too often we come here in the middle of May and it's in the 60s.
Very rare.
All right, it may not be in the 60s, but how about low 70s?
It will be tonight.
Okay, good. Thanks for backing me up. A good teammate. Slap to the left side. Milan was playing closer to the bag at second, and that'll load him up.
Not just load him up, it'll load him up for Vahiva Aloy, who is having a monster year for Arkansas.
And if Vahiva Aloy does some damage to a baseball right here, we may never talk to Jay Johnson on the air again. He's gonna blame you, Ben.
It was not my idea.
Vahiva Aloy, the junior out of Sacramento State, second year now at Arkansas. Has a hit in 14 of his last 15 games. A couple of hits last night. Three for 7 with the bases loaded.
Yeah, you want to talk about helium in the draft too? Aloy's got it as well. Last year had a solid year. I mean, he was good last year, but he hit .270 with 14 homers. This year, .377, so hitting over 100 points higher and already 3 more home runs this year than what he had last year.
Started every game of his Arkansas career over the almost 2 seasons now, up to 110 straight starts. And only missed 1 game in his 1 season at Sac State.
Look, Dave, and it's a complete player. We talk about a lot about the offensive numbers, but when you put him on the other side of the ball and play defense, he's as good a shortstop as there is in the country.
Only 1 error in his last 31 games.
Right.
Swing and a miss. And that is a huge out.
Well, let's take a look at how Anthony Ianson attacks one of the best hitters in the country. Here's your pitch sequence. First pitch breaking ball, so he goes up, no balls, 1 strike, misses with a curveball, with 1-1 now, right back to another breaking ball, so 1-2 count, and then finish him off with another really good breaking ball. So you show him you can throw it for a strike, and then you get ahead and you get it out of the zone, and that's the key to it when you try to get strikeouts and where pitchers are getting. They want to start something that stays in the zone a long time, but then works its way out of the zone as it gets towards home plate.
95 from Ianson. Gets ahead of Logan Maxwell. Logan grounded out his first time up. Good to see him back in this lineup. Fouls that one back. Logan's had some hamstring issues. Didn't play in that Texas series. Really an issue that also hampered him last year when he was at TCU. Didn't know if he was going to get back in this lineup until they came in for their workout on Thursday night here at the box. 0-2.
Check out that bat right there. that Maxwell is swinging. Look at the very end of it, Dave. Most aluminum bats are kind of rounded off at the end. That bat is just flat as it can be on top. You don't see many of those.
Boy, just did get a piece of that one. Yeah,
almost looks like a wooden bat.
I know.
That's kind of shaved off at the end.
Well, it's worked for Logan. 331 hitter with 9 homers. Oh, just off the plate, 2-2.
Boy, how about that take right there by Logan Maxwell? That's seeing it pretty good right there to be able to take that pitch with 2 strikes.
Got him.
But stack a few zeros, because that's what this offense needs. The only way you're going to complete a comeback when you're down 4-0, you got to have your reliever come in and stack a couple zeros and give your high-powered offense a chance to climb back in this thing.
Oh, that ball is touched. 94 miles an hour coming in, about 194 going out. How about the day for number 7, Jake Brown?
Dave Neal, that's covering the ball right there. I mean, remember the first home run he hit in his first at bat was a hanging breaking ball. That was 94 on the inside part of the plate, and boy, he would have none of it. And you talk about turning one around. That ball not only went over the fence, it went over everything out there in straightaway right field, plumb out of the ballpark. Watch how quick these hands are right here. Get them in tight to the chest, kid, and get the barrel to it. And he knew it when he touched it right there, that he had yet another home run, making home run number 6 and RBI number 37 on the year for the sophomore Jake Brown.
Okay, it wasn't quite 194 leaving the ballpark. It was 107, though.
I think say it was 100 and something for sure.
428-foot home run for Jake Brown, who now has 4 runs batted in. And we're in the bottom of the 3rd. Ethan Fry singled his first time up. Final numbers on Gage Wood, by the way. A couple of innings pitched, 4 hits, 4 runs, 2 Ks, 2 walks, and threw 60 pitches. And as Coach Van Horn just alluded to, he was missing the zone. Only 34 strikes in those 60 pitches.
Yeah, that's not like him. He came in with 2 walks in 5 starts, and he had 2 walks today alone. We talked a lot about Arkansas's offense. LSU's got a pretty good offense, too. And I don't care who you are as a pitcher and what league you play in and where you play. If you're constantly pitching behind in the count, it makes your job a lot tougher.
And that one misses. Fry will draw the walk. By the way, Jake Brown ties his career high with 4 RBI today. Here's Milam to the plate. Milam lined out his first time. First pitch he sees out to center field. Justin Thomas backpedals a few steps, makes the catch, and that'll be out number 1.
To tell you how important it is to pitch from ahead, if you look at the major league numbers, that's the best hitters in the world, right? Major league hitters hit 323 so far on the year when they're ahead in the count. When they're behind in the count, they hit 191. And when you get 2 strikes, any 2-strike count at all, big league hitters are hitting 169. That's why it's so important to work from ahead.
All right, those are important numbers. I know it's big league baseball, but still some of that transfers to this level
100%.
as well. But so what was it again? If you're ahead in the count,
if you're ahead in the count in the big leagues, the big league hitters are hitting 323. When you're behind in the count, big league hitters are hitting 191.
Nuts.
And with 2 strikes in any two-strike count, they're only hitting 168 to kind of give you an idea.
Wow.
That's how important it is to work from ahead.
Well, Bybee got the advantage here. 0-2 the count to Braswell.
Now, it's a little different up here, obviously. The average big league hitter today as we go in is hitting 243. That's the average hitter. SEC hitters overall, not just an SEC play, but overall SEC hitters are hitting 300 on the year as an average.
243 in the big leagues, huh?
That's what they're doing right now. And here's the scary thing about that. Every change they've made the last 3 years has been in benefit of the hitter.
Yeah.
No more sticky stuff. No more shifts. Bigger bases to promote more steals. All those things. And now Major League umpires have been suggested to not call the fringe pitch anymore. So they're trying to get more offense in the game.
Out to center field again. Justin Thomas will make the catch. There's a tag by Fry. He's going to try to sneak second base. Does he get there? He does. Boy, trying to catch Arkansas a little flat-footed, and he did so.
Well, you mentioned earlier how big he is at 6'6", and Ethan Fry can move too. And that's a good read. That's a plus play that most guys don't tag up on, but he could see that that ball was going to push Justin Thomas deep enough out in center field where maybe he had a chance to get back, tag up. The play's in front of him, so he sees it right there. He can see the throw the whole time. Times it perfectly. He's watching the throw. He knows exactly where to slide.
Aaron Beatty now will step in. He's behind 0-1. Bybee now 5 for 5 on first pitch strikes. Gage Wood was only 5 for 12.
Good breaking ball.
Aaron Beatty giving Luis Hernandez a little break from catching behind the plate after a late night last night, 10-inning game.